Jean Mwale. I was born in Zambia. My journey involves cancer, limb loss, a lot of things, but to start from the beginning, in 2003, I had noticed a lump on my throat. And at first I didn't know what it was. I just thought maybe it was a bump, but it was getting bigger till it got to a point of a golf ball. And I went to see the doctors and they said we have to do a biopsy. After they did the biopsy, they did find that it was cancer. I went into the hospital for chemo. I was in the hospital for 10 months straight. It was very tough. It was very tough because I wasn't very aware of cancer. I'd seen cancer on the TV. I'd heard about it, but just to hear that you have it. And before I was released to remission, I think it was a month before, they said it would be very highly unlikely that I would have children, which was very sad because that's one of the things that was very important to me. And after I got out of the hospital, about 7 months later, I kind of started feeling funny, and it's quite comical a little bit because my friend said, "I think you're pregnant." I said, "No." I didn't believe it at first, but we went to the doctors, and the first ultrasound, the first thing the technician said was, "What are you going to name them?" And if anybody has ever had that look of, huh? That's the look I had, huh? But I was overjoyed. I had twins, and I'd sent them to Africa to my parents to go and visit. I started feeling sick again, went back to the doctors, and they said, "Let's do another bone marrow biopsy. Let's make sure the cancer, if you're feeling sick, let's make sure the cancer is still in check." They did that, and the doctors told me that I had another cancer. And I asked them, was it worse than the first one? And they said, yes, it was. I was very afraid at first because when you go through something and you don't know, it's never easy, but you don't know what's coming. So it's easier. So it was difficult for me because I knew what I'd gone through, and I knew if this was going to be worse, it was going to be very devastating. But I kept strong. I was back in the hospital for about a year, and when I came out, I went to Africa to go and get the children. When I went to Africa, I stayed there for a month. Then I told my mom, bring the twins in about a month. And on my way back, my flight had a stopover in Boston. I had a nosebleed. And, I instinctively went, pinched my nose, put my head back, but the blood wasn't stopping. I got to the hospital, and as they were wheeling me in, I went into a coma. Thankfully, I came out of the coma after 2 weeks, and when I came out of the coma, I found they had amputated my 4 right fingers, and had also amputated my toes. And they had said that the reason that they had amputated was because I had a septic shock and that I had sepsis. In that time, I was in Boston for 2 weeks, but because I had all my doctors in Pittsburgh, I was airflown to Pittsburgh. And when I got there, they had an ambulance waiting for me. When I went to the hospital that evening, they did a round of tests, and when the doctors came in, they said, Miss Mwale, yes, they amputated your toes and your fingers, but the infection is rising rapidly. If we do not amputate your legs in the next 24 hours, there's a very large possibility you will not make it. And at that point, I was just, what decision do you make at that time? Because at that point, you're saying, do I want to live or die? And at that point, I just had my twins and I hadn't seen them, so I said, let's go ahead. They amputated, and there was a very long recovery time. I focused very much on my mental, and In that time of focusing on my mental, that's how I came across the Amputee Coalition. I wanted an outlet to find people that were like me now. Because to me, it wasn't that my life had ended. It was that I had to build a new life. I had to re-love myself. I had to relearn my body. I had to relearn my life in the sense of being able to know what I'm able to do safely and what I'm able not to do safely. I spent a lot of time researching the resources that they had, and there were many support groups, and at that I just became very passionate, and I said to myself, I said, I did have a very, very hard journey, because it wasn't just the limb loss, it was the cancer, but I had blessings in there. I had my children, I had a lot of support, I had resources to go to, and I'm here sharing my story. If you don't spread your strength, then we have a whole bunch of weak people, a whole bunch of people that are sad. But if you share your strength, and even if sometimes it's hard, give us a smile. Think of something. If you can't see happiness, close your eyes and feel it. Look around you, and if you don't see the positive, close your eyes and remember you're here with the voice of the people who are to come forward that are going to go through these things. It's a process. And once you're part of a process, you instantly become part of change. And who doesn't want change? I'd had some amazing write-ups about me, and somebody called me and said, I never wanted to talk about it because I had such a full life, but after they cut my limbs, I felt that I should always be humble because I'm now less than a person. But when I saw your story, and from where you were and to where you are, I feel like I can rule the world. And I said, let's do it together. Let's advocate together. Nothing is impossible. When you have hope, miracles are endless. Everyone's unique. You can have the same type of amputation, but you're always going to be unique to the situation, to your situation. And I tell people, use your voice. If you're still breathing, you can still make a change. I remember I said I wanted to find a way that everybody had a chance to walk, right? Or be able to get from A to B. And I actually came up with something so that people could, get like prosthetics or canes and everything. Give to the next person. Healing starts from here. We have amazing doctors in this world that know things. We know the heart, we know what we go through, and we have professionals that do what they do, but combined together, there's so much hope, it's unbelievable. Like I always say, when you have hope, miracles are endless. So to get the miracle, start with hope. If you're listening and you're going through something, amputations, take a step back. Take a step back, smile. You're here. Tell your story. I'm happy to tell my story because you can make a change, but you can't make a change if you don't say anything. And that change, when you tell your voice, it's not just helping somebody else, you're helping yourself. There's so many people out there that want to listen. So many. Don't be shy, talk. If in the beginning you don't feel like talking, write it down, send it off. First word that comes to mind is endless. So when I think of endless, so many possibilities. Right now, I'm very focused on advocating. I started a Miracles of Hope to help people with excess, if people that have excess limbs or excess canes and everything. So I get those and I give to those that don't have. You know, we have a lot of challenges, but like I said, if you can change somebody's life just by changing how they look at life, change their narrative, you've already won and they've won. How amazing is that? I just want to tell anybody that's listening to this, I am not saying this because of something I read. I went through it and I'm happy. I'm happy that I spoke up. I'm happy that I wrote it down. I'm happy that I confided, and I'm happy that I shared, because not only am I helping people, it's helping me. Because when you help people, you feel like a champion. Who doesn't want to feel like a champion? So you know what, whenever you're sad, you're here. Be a champion. Be a champion of your life and be a champion for somebody else. And let's all win, but you know what, let's all win together. Miracles of hope. Like I said, when you have hope, miracles are endless.